I must tell you something about Capricorn and love that most astrologers will never admit because it contradicts everything our instant gratification culture teaches us about romance. What I'm about to share isn't just another compatibility reading. This is about understanding a fundamental truth that could change everything you believe about finding lasting love. Right now, as Saturn completes its cycle and Pluto settles into Aquarius for the next decades, Capricorns worldwide are experiencing something profound. You might have felt it. That strange exhaustion mixed with an inexplicable hope. That sense that everything you thought you knew about relationships is being quietly dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up. If you're a Capricorn, you've probably noticed that casual dating feels more hollow than ever. If you love a Capricorn, you've sensed their walls getting higher even as their heart grows more tender. This isn't coincidence. This is cosmic recalibration. Here's what nobody tells you about Capricorn in love. While every other sign is out there chasing butterflies and fireworks, Capricorn is building cathedrals. And you cannot rush the construction of something meant to stand for centuries. The best life partner for Capricorn isn't the one who sweeps them off their feet in a whirlwind romance. It's the one who understands that real love for this sign is an architectural project. A masterpiece that requires patience, precision, and an almost sacred commitment to the long game. Does this resonate with you? Have you noticed that every time you've tried to force speed into a Capricorn relationship, something essential broke? Let me be extremely clear about what makes Capricorn different. This is not a sign that falls in love. Capricorn builds love. There's a massive distinction here that changes everything. Falling implies loss of control, temporary insanity, a surrender to chaos. Building implies intention, structure, the deliberate placement of each brick with full awareness of the final vision. When a Capricorn commits to someone, they're not experiencing a chemical rush that will fade in 6 months. They're making a calculated decision to invest their life force into creating something that will outlast them both. This is why Capricorn's ideal partner must possess a specific quality that's become almost extinct in modern dating culture. I call it temporal intelligence. The ability to think in decades rather than weeks. The capacity to delay gratification not out of fear, but out of wisdom. The understanding that the most valuable things in life reveal themselves slowly, like a Polaroid photograph developing in your hands. You see, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of time, structure, and karmic lessons. This isn't just astrological trivia. This is the key to understanding why Capricorn cannot and will not thrive with someone who needs constant emotional fireworks or who measures love by intensity rather than consistency. Saturn's influence means that Capricorn experiences time differently than other signs. Where Aries sees a moment, Capricorn sees a millennium. Where Gemini sees a conversation, Capricorn sees a foundation stone. Think about this for a moment. Really let it sink in. Capricorn is the sign of the mountain goat, climbing steadily toward the peak. Every relationship decision they make is evaluated through this lens. Will this person help me reach the summit? Or will they convince me to camp at base level because the view is pretty enough? Will this partner understand that I'm not being cold when I'm quiet, but rather that I'm calculating the safest route forward for both of us? The tragedy I see repeatedly in my practice is Capricorns trying to force themselves into relationship templates designed for fire signs or air signs or air signs. They read articles about keeping the spark alive and feel inadequate because their love doesn't burn. It solidifies. They're told they need to be more spontaneous, more emotionally expressive, more willing to take romantic risks, and in trying to become something they're not, they end up with partners who fundamentally misunderstand their nature. Here's the truth that will set you free. Capricorn's love is not less than other signs' love. It's not colder or more distant or less passionate. It's simply operating on a different frequency, one that most people aren't trained to perceive. Capricorn's passion is the passion of the craftsman who spends years perfecting a single piece. It's the passion of the architect who can see the completed building while everyone else only sees scaffolding and dirt. Have you noticed this shift? That moment when you realized you couldn't pretend to be excited about surface-level connections anymore. Now let's talk about who can actually match this frequency. Not every sign has the patience or the depth to appreciate what Capricorn offers. And rather than saying this is about sun-sign compatibility alone, it's better to say this is about finding someone whose entire energetic blueprint understands the value of slow transformation. The signs that create magic with Capricorn share one critical quality. They understand that love is not a feeling to be chased but a structure to be built. They know that commitment isn't the end of freedom, but the beginning of real power. They recognize that the most profound intimacy comes not from constant togetherness, but from two people building parallel towers that eventually connect at the top. Taurus, Capricorn's fellow earth sign, speaks this language fluently. When Taurus and Capricorn come together, there's an immediate recognition. Not the recognition of soulmates in the Hollywood sense, but something deeper. The recognition of shared values, shared pace, shared understanding that quality takes time. Taurus brings sensuality and present-moment awareness to Capricorn's future-focused drive. Taurus teaches Capricorn that the journey itself can be pleasurable, not just the destination. And Capricorn gives Taurus the structure and ambition to turn their dreams into tangible reality. But here's what makes this pairing extraordinary. Both signs understand that love is demonstrated through action, not words. A Taurus doesn't need Capricorn to write poetry or make grand romantic gestures. They see love in the way Capricorn remembers their preferences, plans for their future together, shows up consistently day after day. And Capricorn doesn't need Taurus to be emotionally dramatic. They feel loved when Taurus creates a beautiful home, cooks a nourishing meal, offers steady physical affection without demands. This is love as a verb, not a noun. This is partnership as a daily practice of mutual support and respect. And for Capricorn, this is everything. Virgo, the other earth sign, creates a different but equally powerful dynamic with Capricorn. Where Taurus brings sensuality, Virgo brings precision. Virgo and Capricorn together are like two master surgeons performing a delicate operation. They communicate in shorthand, understanding each other's processes without lengthy explanations. They share a devotion to excellence, an intolerance for mediocrity, and a belief that love should make both people better, sharper, more capable versions of themselves. What Virgo offers Capricorn is something rare and precious. Virgo sees Capricorn's flaws and doesn't run away or try to fix them through emotional manipulation. Instead, Virgo offers practical solutions, gentle adjustments, the kind of support that actually helps rather than just making noise. And Capricorn offers Virgo something equally valuable: the confidence to stop overthinking and start building, the assurance that perfection isn't required, only consistent effort toward a shared goal. Together, these two create relationships that look boring from the outside but feel like coming home from the inside. They're not posting dramatic declarations on social media or having passionate fights followed by passionate reconciliations. They're quietly building an empire together, brick by brick by brick, decision by decision by decision, day by day. Does this sound like the kind of love you've been searching for? The kind that doesn't announce itself, but simply becomes the foundation of everything good in your life. Now here's where it gets interesting. Water signs, particularly Scorpio and Pisces, can create profound connections with Capricorn, but only under specific conditions. This is not the easy compatibility of two earth signs. This is the alchemical marriage of structure and flow, of form and formlessness. And it requires both partners to be emotionally mature and willing to deep inner work. Scorpio and Capricorn share an intensity that most people cannot comprehend. Both signs understand that real intimacy requires the death of the false self. Both are willing to descend into darkness to find truth. Both value loyalty above almost everything else. When Scorpio and Capricorn commit to each other, they're not just dating. They're entering into a soul contract that will transform them both at the deepest levels. But here's the challenge. Scorpio needs emotional depth and vulnerability in ways that don't come naturally to Capricorn. Scorpio wants to merge completely, to know every secret, to experience that total dissolution of boundaries that terrifies Capricorn's Saturn-ruled need for control. For this pairing to work, Capricorn must learn that vulnerability is not weakness but the ultimate form of strength, and Scorpio must learn that Capricorn's reserve is not rejection but protection, a careful guarding of something precious that will be revealed when the time is right. When these two get it right, the result is a love that transcends the ordinary. Scorpio brings emotional courage and transformative power to Capricorn's structured world. Capricorn brings stability and practical manifestation to Scorpio's intense inner realm. Together, they create something that operates on both the material and spiritual planes simultaneously. They build empires while exploring the depths of the soul. Pisces offers Capricorn something entirely different but equally transformative. Where Scorpio challenges Capricorn to dive deep, Pisces invites Capricorn to surrender. And surrender is perhaps the most difficult lesson for this sign to learn. Pisces teaches Capricorn that not everything needs to be controlled. That some of life's greatest gifts come through letting go, through trusting the invisible currents that carry us forward when we stop fighting. The magic of Capricorn and Pisces lies in their opposition on the karmic axis. Capricorn represents the mountain, the highest point of earthly achievement. Pisces represents the ocean, the dissolution of all boundaries. Together, they complete a cosmic circuit. Pisces softens Capricorn's edges without weakening their structure. Capricorn gives Pisces a container for their boundless creativity and compassion. Pisces reminds Capricorn that success without soul is hollow. Capricorn reminds Pisces that dreams without discipline remain fantasies. But I need to be honest with you about something crucial. This pairing requires Pisces to be grounded and Capricorn to be willing to explore their emotional depths. An ungrounded Pisces will frustrate Capricorn to the point of exhaustion with their lack of follow-through and tendency to escape reality. An emotionally shut-down Capricorn will wound Pisces deeply with their inability to meet them in the realm of feeling and imagination. This is advanced level compatibility that demands both partners show up as their highest selves. Have you felt this tension in your own relationships? That push and pull between structure and flow, between planning and surrendering? Now let's address what doesn't work for Capricorn. Because understanding the wrong matches is just as important as recognizing the right ones. This isn't about judging other signs as inferior. It's about acknowledging that certain energetic combinations create friction that requires enormous effort to overcome. And life is too short to spend it constantly translating between incompatible languages. Fire signs, particularly Aries and Sagittarius, often create relationships with Capricorn that start with intense attraction but struggle with sustainability. The initial pull is understandable. Fire signs have a confidence and spontaneity that fascinates Capricorn, who can sometimes feel trapped in their own caution. Capricorn admires the way fire signs leap before looking, the way they trust life to catch them, and fire signs are drawn to Capricorn's stability and competence, seeing them as a grounding force in their chaotic world. But here's where it breaks down. Fire signs measure love by intensity and excitement. They need constant stimulation, new adventures, dramatic expressions of passion. They interpret Capricorn's steady, consistent approach as boring or cold. They don't understand that for Capricorn, showing up every single day is the ultimate romantic gesture. They want fireworks when Capricorn is offering a hearth fire that will burn steadily for decades. Aries, in particular, operates at a speed that exhausts Capricorn. Aries wants everything now. They make impulsive decisions based on momentary enthusiasm. They start 100 projects and finish 10. For Capricorn, who carefully considers every move and commits fully to what they begin, this approach feels reckless and unsustainable. Aries sees Capricorn as a wet blanket, always pointing out potential problems and urging caution. Capricorn sees Aries as immature, unable to think beyond immediate gratification. Can this pairing work? Yes. But only if Aries develops patience and Capricorn develops spontaneity. And both of these require fundamental personality shifts that most people aren't willing to make. Rather than saying it's impossible, it's better to say it requires both partners to essentially become different people. And that's a heavy price to pay for love. Sagittarius presents a different challenge. Where Aries is impulsive, Sagittarius is restless. Sagittarius needs freedom, adventure, constant expansion of horizons. They're the eternal student, the perpetual traveler, allergic to anything that feels like confinement. And Capricorn, with their need for stability and long-term planning, can feel like a cage to Sagittarius. Capricorn wants to build a home. Sagittarius wants to explore the world. Capricorn finds meaning in commitment and responsibility. Sagittarius finds meaning in new experiences and philosophical exploration. The fundamental conflict here is about what constitutes a meaningful life. For Capricorn, meaning comes through building something lasting, through taking responsibility, through the satisfaction of goals achieved through sustained effort. For Sagittarius, meaning comes through expansion, through saying yes to every adventure, through refusing to be pinned down by conventional expectations. These are not just different preferences. These are different life philosophies that create constant tension in daily decision-making. Air signs, particularly Gemini and Aquarius, create yet another type of challenge for Capricorn. The issue here isn't about speed or restlessness but about depth versus breadth. Air signs live in the realm of ideas, communication, social connection. They're endlessly curious, always moving on to the next interesting concept or conversation. Capricorn lives in the realm of tangible results, practical application, deep mastery of chosen domains. Gemini's quicksilver nature can feel destabilizing to Capricorn. Gemini changes their mind constantly, explores multiple interests simultaneously, needs variety and mental stimulation above all else. They're brilliant conversationalists but often lack follow-through. They start with enthusiasm and move on when something more interesting appears. For Capricorn, who values consistency and completion, this approach feels scattered and unreliable. Gemini sees Capricorn as too serious, too rigid, unable to appreciate the joy of intellectual play. Capricorn sees Gemini as superficial, unable to commit to anything long enough to achieve real mastery. Aquarius creates a different dynamic. Aquarius is fixed air, so they have more staying power than Gemini. But their focus is on humanity, innovation for that, breaking conventions. They're the revolutionary, the humanitarian, the visionary who sees how things could be different. Capricorn is the traditionalist, the one who respects established structures and works within systems to achieve power and influence. Aquarius wants to tear down the old order. Capricorn wants to climb to the top of the existing hierarchy. This fundamental difference in approach to change and authority creates ongoing friction. Aquarius sees Capricorn as too conservative, too willing to compromise their ideals for practical success. Capricorn sees Aquarius as impractical, more interested in abstract ideals than real-world results. Both signs are actually quite stubborn, which means when they clash, neither is willing to back down. Does this mean these pairings are doomed? Not necessarily, but they require both partners to consciously choose to bridge enormous gaps in temperament and values. And that choice must be made fresh every single day. For most people, that level of ongoing effort eventually becomes exhausting. Now let's talk about something that most astrologers won't tell you because it complicates the neat categories we like to create. The best life partner for Capricorn isn't determined by sun sign alone. What matters more is the overall energetic signature of the person, particularly their Venus placement, their moon sign, and their Saturn placement. You could meet a Gemini sun with Taurus Venus and Capricorn moon who understands you better than a Capricorn sun with Sagittarius moon and Gemini Venus. This is where astrology becomes art rather than science. This is where you need to look beyond surface compatibility and examine the deeper patterns. A person's Venus tells you how they love, what they value in relationships, what makes them feel cherished, A person's moon tells you their emotional needs, their instinctive responses, what makes them feel safe. A person's Saturn tells you how they handle responsibility, commitment, and long-term goals. For Capricorn to thrive in partnership, they need someone whose Venus appreciates loyalty, consistency, and practical demonstrations of care. They need someone whose moon doesn't require constant emotional drama or validation. They need someone whose Saturn is well developed, meaning they understand delayed gratification and can commit to long-term projects without needing immediate rewards. Let me give you a real example from my practice. I worked with a Capricorn woman who kept attracting Leo men. On paper, this seemed like a terrible match. Leo's need for attention, admiration, their dramatic emotional expression, their desire to be the center of attention. All of this seemed incompatible with her reserved, private nature. But when we looked deeper, we discovered that these Leo men all had Earth sign moons and Venus in Virgo or Capricorn. Their core emotional needs and love languages actually aligned beautifully with hers. The Leo sun gave them confidence and warmth that balanced her tendency toward pessimism. But their Earth placements meant they expressed that Leo energy in grounded, practical ways she could appreciate. This is the level of nuance required for real compatibility analysis. Sun sign compatibility is a starting point, not the complete picture, and for Capricorn especially, who operates on such a different frequency from most of the zodiac, looking at the whole chart becomes essential. Here's another truth that might be difficult to hear but needs to be said. Many Capricorns end up in relationships that don't truly satisfy them because they confuse duty with love. Capricorn is so good at commitment, so skilled at making things work through sheer determination, that they can stay in partnerships that are fundamentally misaligned for years or even decades. They tell themselves that love is about showing up, about being responsible, about honoring commitments. And while all of that is true, it's not the complete truth. Real love for Capricorn must include mutual respect, shared values, and genuine appreciation for who they are rather than who they could become if they just loosened up or became more emotional or stopped being so serious. The right partner doesn't try to change Capricorn's fundamental nature. They celebrate it. They see the beauty in Capricorn's steadiness, the romance in their reliability, the passion in their commitment to excellence. Have you been settling for partnerships that respect your sense of duty but don't truly see your soul? Have you been trying to convince yourself that being a good partner is enough, even when you're not receiving what you need in return? The shift happening right now, with Pluto in Aquarius and Saturn preparing for its next major cycle, is forcing Capricorns to confront this question. The old model of staying in relationships out of obligation or fear of failure is crumbling. The universe is asking Capricorn to demand more, not in a selfish way, but in a way that honors the depth of what they have to offer. You cannot build a cathedral with someone who only wants to construct a tent. You cannot create lasting legacy with someone who lives entirely in the present moment with no thought for tomorrow. This doesn't make you difficult or demanding. This makes you discerning. And discernment is not only your right but your responsibility. When you settle for less than true compatibility, you're not just short-changing yourself. You're preventing your partner from finding someone who can meet them where they actually are, and you're blocking the person who could truly appreciate you from entering your life. Let me tell you about the most dangerous trap Capricorn falls into when searching for their ideal partner. It's not choosing the wrong person. It's waiting for the perfect person. And there's a massive difference between these two that could cost you decades of potential happiness. Capricorn's relationship with perfection is complicated. On one hand, your high standards protect you from wasting time on incompatible matches. On the other hand, your tendency to see relationships as projects that must be executed flawlessly can prevent you from recognizing genuine compatibility when it arrives in an imperfect package. The truth is that your ideal partner will not check every single box on your list. They will frustrate you sometimes. They will have qualities that don't align with your vision. And learning to distinguish between deal breakers and mere preferences is one of the most important skills you can develop. Here's what I've observed in my years of working with Capricorns. The ones who find lasting love are not the ones who held out for perfection. They're the ones who recognized essential compatibility and then committed to building something extraordinary with an imperfect human being. They understood that the foundation matters more than the finishing touches. They knew that shared values, mutual respect, and aligned life goals create more lasting satisfaction than surface-level chemistry or checking boxes on a compatibility list. Think about the buildings that have stood for centuries. The cathedrals, the temples, the ancient structures that still inspire awe. None of them are perfect. They have cracks, weathering, repairs made over generations. But their foundations are solid. Their core structure is sound. And that's what allows them to endure. Your relationship needs the same approach. Stop looking for the partner with no flaws. Start looking for the partner whose flaws you can live with because their core values align with yours so perfectly that everything else becomes negotiable. Does this shift your perspective? Can you feel the difference between perfectionism and discernment? Now let's talk about timing. Because for Capricorn, timing is everything. You cannot rush into commitment. But you also cannot wait forever for some imaginary perfect moment when all uncertainty disappears. One of the most painful patterns I see is Capricorns who meet genuinely compatible partners but sabotage the connection because the timing feels wrong. They're not established enough in their career. They haven't achieved certain goals. They're not ready to settle down. And while they're waiting for the perfect moment, the right person moves on. Here's the hard truth. There will never be a perfect time. There will always be career goals not yet achieved, financial milestones not yet reached, personal growth still needed. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you'll wait forever. The right partner for Capricorn understands this. They don't need you to be finished becoming who you're meant to be. They want to build alongside you, to grow together, to support each other's evolution over decades. This is where Capricorn must learn to trust process over outcome. You're so focused on the destination that you sometimes forget the journey is where the actual relationship happens. Your ideal partner is not waiting at the summit for you to arrive. They're climbing beside you, matching your pace, sharing the load, celebrating small victories along the way. And if you're so fixated on reaching the top that you don't notice the person keeping pace with you, you'll arrive at success alone and wonder why it feels hollow. The current astrological climate is pushing this less hard, with Pluto in Aquarius for the next 2 decades. The old Capricorn model of sacrificing everything for achievement is being dismantled. The universe is showing you that true success includes intimate partnership. That building an empire means nothing if you have no one to share it with. That legacy isn't just about what you accomplish but about the love you cultivate and the relationships you nurture. This isn't about becoming less ambitious. This is about expanding your definition of ambition to include emotional fulfillment and deep partnership. This is about recognizing that choosing the right life partner is perhaps the most important decision you'll ever make, more important than any career move or financial investment. Because the right partner multiplies your capacity for everything else. They don't distract you from your goals. They help you achieve them while also creating a life worth living beyond achievement. Let me share something that might surprise you. The Capricorns in my practice who report the highest relationship satisfaction are not the ones who found partners who let them focus entirely on their ambitions. They're the ones who found partners who challenged them to become more balanced, more emotionally available, more present in their own lives. These partners didn't accept Capricorn's tendency to sacrifice relationship for achievement. They insisted on being prioritized. They demanded emotional presence, not just physical presence. And in doing so, they actually made their Capricorn partners more successful, not less. Why? Because burnout is real. Because achieving goals while neglecting your emotional needs creates a hollow victory. Because the most sustainable success comes from a life in balance, where ambition is fueled by love rather than fear, where achievement is celebrated with someone who truly understands what it cost you to get there. Your ideal partner doesn't compete with your ambitions. They become the foundation that makes those ambitions sustainable over the long term. Have you noticed how much more capable you are when you feel truly supported? How much clearer your thinking becomes when you're not carrying emotional stress alone? Here's another dimension we need to explore: physical intimacy and how it functions for Capricorn in the context of lasting partnership. Most astrology content either ignores this topic or treats it superficially. But it's crucial for understanding what Capricorn needs in a life partner. Capricorn's approach to physical intimacy mirrors their approach to everything else. It deepens over time. It requires safety and trust. It's not about fireworks on the first night, but about building a physical connection that becomes more satisfying with each passing year. The right partner for Capricorn understands that your sensuality is like a slow-burning fire that needs patience and consistency to reach its full heat. They don't mistake your initial reserve for lack of passion. They recognize that you need to feel emotionally safe before you can be physically vulnerable. That trust must be earned before you can fully let go, and they're willing to invest the time required because they understand that what you offer once you do open up is worth infinitely more than surface-level passion that burns out quickly. This is where Earth sign partners particularly excel with Capricorn. Taurus understands sensuality as a slow unfolding. Virgo understands the connection between emotional safety and physical openness. These signs don't rush you or make you feel inadequate for needing time. They match your pace, building physical intimacy brick by brick just as you build everything else in your life. And the result is a sexual connection that actually improves over decades rather than fading after the initial excitement wears off. Water sign partners can also create profound physical intimacy with Capricorn. But it requires both partners to be willing to communicate openly about needs and boundaries. Scorpio's intensity can overwhelm Capricorn initially. But when Capricorn learns to trust Scorpio's loyalty and Scorpio learns to respect Capricorn's need for control, the physical connection can become transformative. Pisces brings a spiritual dimension to physical intimacy that can help Capricorn access deeper levels of surrender and vulnerability, but only if Pisces is grounded enough to create the safety Capricorn requires. The partnerships that fail Capricorn physically are the ones where the partner interprets Capricorn's reserve as rejection or lack of attraction. They take it personally. They pressure for more openness before trust is established. They compare Capricorn to more immediately passionate partners and find them lacking. This creates a vicious cycle where Capricorn retreats further, feeling inadequate and misunderstood, while the partner feels increasingly rejected and frustrated. Breaking this cycle requires a partner who understands that Capricorn's physical expression of love follows the same pattern as their emotional expression. It's not less, it's just slower to reveal itself. Now let's address something that many Capricorns struggle with but rarely discuss openly. The fear that your need for control and structure makes you unlovable. The worry that your inability to be spontaneous and emotionally effusive means you'll never find someone who truly appreciates you. The deep-seated belief that you're too serious, too rigid, too focused on practical matters to inspire the kind of passionate love you see other people experiencing. I need you to hear this clearly. These fears are lies. They're stories you've told yourself based on relationships with people who weren't right for you, based on a culture that values extroversion and emotional display over depth and consistency, based on comparing your internal experience to other people's external presentations. The right partner for you doesn't just tolerate your Capricorn nature. They're attracted to it. They find your seriousness sexy. They're turned on by your competence and reliability. They feel safe in your structure rather than confined by it. Your ideal partner looks at your careful planning and sees someone who takes life seriously enough to build something real. They look at your emotional reserve and see depth rather than coldness. They look at your high standards and feel inspired to meet them rather than criticized for falling short. They don't need you to be someone you're not. They need you to be more fully yourself. To own your Capricorn nature completely rather than apologizing for it or trying to soften it to make others comfortable. This is the liberation that's available to you right now. Not the liberation of becoming less Capricorn, but the liberation of becoming more Capricorn. Of recognizing that your way of loving is not inferior to anyone else's way. of understanding that slow love that lasts forever is actually more valuable than fast love that burns out quickly, of claiming your right to demand a partner who can match your depth, your commitment, your vision for building something that outlasts you both. The partners who are right for you are not looking for someone easy or simple or immediately gratifying. They're looking for someone substantial, someone real, someone who will still be there when the initial excitement fades and the real work of building a life together begins. And that's exactly what you offer. You are the partner who shows up, who keeps promises, who builds cathedrals while others are content with tents. And the right person doesn't just appreciate this. They require it. Does this resonate with something you've always known but were afraid to claim? Can you feel the shift from apologizing for who you are to celebrating it? Let me give you a practical framework for recognizing your ideal partner when they appear. Because they might not look like what you expected. They might not arrive in the package you imagined. But they will demonstrate certain qualities that are non-negotiable for lasting Capricorn compatibility. First, they will respect your time. They won't play games or create unnecessary drama. They'll communicate clearly and follow through on commitments. They understand that your time is valuable and they don't waste it with flakiness or inconsistency. Second, they will have their own ambitions and goals. They're not looking for you to give their life meaning or direction. They're building their own mountain, and they see partnership as two people climbing parallel peaks that eventually connect at the summit. They don't need you to rescue them or fix them or provide all the structure in their life. They bring their own stability to the relationship. Third, they will demonstrate patience. They don't rush you or pressure you to move faster than feels right. They understand that trust is earned over time. That commitment deepens gradually. That the best things in life cannot be forced or hurried. They're willing to invest years in building something solid rather than months in creating something flashy that won't last. Fourth, they will value actions over words. They don't need constant verbal reassurance or dramatic declarations of love. They see love in the way you show up consistently, in the way you plan for your future together, in the practical ways you demonstrate care and commitment, and they reciprocate in the same language, showing their love through reliable presence and tangible support rather than empty promises. They will challenge you to grow without trying to change your fundamental nature. They push you to be more emotionally available, more present, more balanced. But they do this from a place of love and respect, not criticism or judgment. They see your potential and they believe in your capacity to evolve while still honoring who you essentially are. When you meet someone who demonstrates these 5 qualities consistently over time, pay attention. This is what compatibility looks like for Capricorn. It's not fireworks and butterflies. It's the quiet recognition that you found someone who speaks your language, who shares your values, who can match your pace for the long climb ahead. And if you're wise, you'll recognize this gift for what it is and commit to building something extraordinary together. The final piece I need to share with you is about legacy. Because for Capricorn, everything is ultimately about legacy. What you leave behind. What you build that outlasts your individual life. And your choice of life partner is the most important legacy decision you'll ever make. Not just because of potential children, though that's part of it, but because the relationship you build becomes a model, a template, a demonstration of what's possible when two people commit to creating something that transcends individual ego and temporary emotion. Your ideal partner understands this. They see relationship not as a source of personal happiness alone, though it is that, but as a creative act with implications beyond yourselves. They want to build something together that matters, that contributes, that leaves the world different than you found it. This might mean creating a family. It might mean building a business together. It might mean supporting each other's individual contributions to your fields or communities. But whatever form it takes, there's a shared understanding that your partnership serves something larger than just your own comfort and pleasure. This is why Capricorn cannot thrive with someone who sees relationship as purely personal, as existing only to meet individual emotional needs. You need a partner who shares your sense of responsibility to something beyond yourselves, who understands that the greatest love is not the one that makes you happiest in the moment, but the one that calls you to become your highest self and contribute your greatest gifts to the world. This doesn't mean sacrificing personal happiness. It means finding happiness in service, in contribution, in building something meaningful together. The astrological moment we're in right now is calling Capricorns to integrate these seemingly opposite truths: personal fulfillment and contribution to something larger, individual happiness and shared legacy, present moment enjoyment and long-term vision. The partners who can help you navigate this integration are the ones worth committing to. They don't force you to choose between these polarities. They help you discover how they're actually complementary, how personal joy and meaningful contribution feed each other, how the best relationships make both partners more capable of serving their highest purpose. So here's what I want you to take away from everything I've shared. The best life partner for Capricorn is not the one who makes you feel the most intense emotions in the shortest time. It's not the one who sweeps you off your feet with grand gestures and passionate declarations. It's not even necessarily the one who seems perfect on paper according to traditional compatibility metrics. The best life partner for Capricorn is the one who sees the cathedral you're building and says, "I want to help you build that." The one who understands that slow love is not less love but deeper love. The one who values consistency over intensity, commitment over chemistry, building over falling. This partner might be an earth sign who speaks your language fluently from the start. They might be a water sign who challenges you to dive deeper emotionally while you teach them to build more solid structures. They might surprise you by being a sign you never expected. But when you look at their whole chart, you see the earth and water placements that create true compatibility beneath the surface. Whoever they are, you'll recognize them not by how they make you feel in isolated moments but by how they show up over time, by the consistency of their presence, by their willingness to invest in building something that will outlast you both. And when you find this person, your job is not to wait until you're perfect or until the timing is ideal or until you've achieved every goal on your list. Your job is to recognize the gift you've been given and commit to it fully, bringing all of your Capricorn capacity for dedication and